Carlos Mendez was driving back home after a long day at work. The fresh air of the Californian countryside entered through the open window of his old pickup, bringing with it the aroma of wet earth and wildflowers. Suddenly, a faint, sharp sound cut through the silence of the approaching night. Carlos frowned, slowing the vehicle. What was that? He murmured to himself, leaning forward in the driver's seat. The sound came again, a low, trembling moan that seemed to come from the old cemetery by the roadside. Carlos hesitated for a moment, but his curiosity and compassion got the better of him. He parked the car on the shoulder and got out, cautiously walking towards the rusty gates of the cemetery. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing among the moss-covered tombstones. "Is anyone there?" The moan intensified, guiding Carlos to a dark, isolated corner of the cemetery. There, huddled under a dried-up bush, was a small puppy. Its fur was dirty and tangled, and it was trembling uncontrollably, its large, frightened eyes fixed on Carlos. Carlos's heart ached at the sight of the helpless creature. Without thinking twice, he knelt down and slowly extended his hand. "Hey, little one," he said softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The puppy initially backed away, but something in Carlos's gentle voice seemed to calm it. Slowly, it approached, cautiously sniffing the extended hand. "That's right," Carlos encouraged, a smile forming on his lips. "Let's get you out of here." Carefully, he picked up the puppy in his arms, feeling the little body tremble against his chest. "Don't worry," he whispered, stroking the dog's dirty fur. "I'll take care of you." And so, under the starry Californian sky, began the journey of Carlos and Bella, a story of love, compassion, and second chances that would change their lives forever. In the days that followed, Carlos dedicated himself entirely to caring for the little puppy he had rescued. He named her Bella, a name that seemed to perfectly capture the beauty and sweetness he saw in her, despite her scruffy appearance. "Come on, Bella," Carlos would say every morning, putting up posters around the neighborhood. "Let's find your family." But the days turned into weeks, and no one came forward to claim Bella. With each passing day, Carlos felt his heart open more and more to the little dog. One night, sitting on his porch with Bella nestled in his lap, Carlos made a decision. "I guess it's just us now, girl," he whispered, scratching behind Bella's ears. She looked at him with her big brown eyes, as if understanding every word. From that moment on, Bella officially became part of the Mendez family. Carlos took her on his morning walks through the forest, laughing as she bounced among the fallen leaves and chased butterflies. "You know, Bella," Carlos commented one day, as they rested by a crystal-clear stream, "I never thought I could feel so happy again." "You've changed my life, you know," Bella responded with a cheerful bark, as if to say, "You've changed mine too." As the months passed, Bella's presence completely transformed Carlos's life. His house, once silent and a bit lonely, was now filled with cheerful barks and the sound of little paws running down the hallway. Carlos found himself smiling more, laughing more, living more. "Who would have thought, huh?" he murmured to himself every night, watching Bella sleep peacefully in her bed. "Who would have thought that an unexpected encounter in a cemetery could bring so much light into my life?" Carlos's passion for animals, rekindled by Bella, began to overflow into other areas of his life. One day, while walking Bella in the local park, he noticed a poster seeking volunteers for the city's animal shelter. "What do you think, girl?" he asked Bella, who wagged her tail in response. "I think that's a yes." At the shelter, Carlos met Dr. Samuel Harris, a charismatic and dedicated veterinarian. The two men soon discovered they shared a common passion for helping animals in need. "Carlos," Dr. Harris said one day, his eyes shining with enthusiasm, "I have a crazy idea. How about a mobile veterinary clinic?" Carlos tilted his head, intrigued. "Go on." "Think about it," Dr. Harris continued, gesticulating animatedly. "We could bring veterinary care to underserved areas, to people who can't afford or don't have the means to take their pets to a regular clinic. We could make a real difference in the lives of these animals and their families." Carlos's heart raced at the possibility. "That sounds amazing," he replied, a smile spreading across his face. "Count me in." And so, Wheels of Hope was born. A mobile veterinary clinic that soon became a beacon of hope for needy animals and owners throughout the region. Carlos and Dr. Harris spent their days traveling to underserved communities, offering free or low-cost veterinary care. "You know, Doc," Carlos commented one day as they treated an injured stray cat, "I never imagined I'd be doing something like this, but now I can't imagine doing anything else." Dr. Harris smiled, patting Carlos on the back. "It's amazing how life takes us to unexpected places, isn't it? And it all started with a lost puppy in a cemetery." Carlos nodded, his heart overflowing with gratitude. He looked at Bella, who accompanied them on all their trips, lying patiently in the corner of the van. "Yeah, it all started with Bella," he murmured. "And now look at us, changing the world, one paw at a time." Carlos and Bella's life seemed perfect. They had found each other, and together they were making a difference in the world. But fate had other plans. It was an ordinary Saturday morning. Carlos was preparing for another day of work at the mobile clinic when he felt a sharp pain in his head. "How strange," he murmured, massaging his temples. Bella, always attentive, looked at him with concern. Suddenly, Carlos's world began to spin. He tried to hold on to the kitchen counter, but his legs gave out. The last thing he heard before losing consciousness was Bella's desperate bark. At the hospital, after a series of tests, Carlos received devastating news. He had a ventricular brain hemorrhage, a serious and potentially fatal condition. The gravity of the situation was a harsh blow for him and his family. The doctors did their best, but Carlos ended up in a coma and remained in this condition for months. The decision to turn off the life support machines hung over the family like a heavy shadow. Bella, sensing Carlos's absence and perceiving the tension around her, seemed to be aware that something was terribly wrong. She waited anxiously for his return, constantly looking at the door with expectation and sadness. At the hospital, the atmosphere was charged with tension and uncertainty. The doctors informed Carlos's family about the severity of the brain hemorrhage. They explained that the chances of recovery were minimal and that the situation was critical. Each visit to Carlos's room brought a mix of hope and despair as he remained motionless, connected to the machines that kept his vital functions. Despite the tireless efforts of the doctors, Carlos's condition did not improve. The family was confronted with the difficult decision to turn off the life support machines. It was an agonizing choice, and everyone felt the weight of responsibility. They gathered to discuss what to do, trying to find solace in each other. Amid this grim situation, an unexpected idea emerged. Carlos's sister suggested that Bella, Carlos's faithful companion, should have a chance to say goodbye. When Bella entered the hospital room, the scene was poignant. She slowly approached Carlos's bed, sniffing the air and looking around cautiously. It was as if she knew that this moment was crucial. The family watched in silence, tears in their eyes, waiting for what would happen next. Bella gently jumped onto the bed, nestling next to Carlos. She delicately licked his face, as she did every morning. The scene was heartbreaking, and the family couldn't contain their emotion. Bella stayed by Carlos's side, her head resting on his chest, as the heavy silence of the room was broken only by the sound of the medical equipment. As Bella continued to gently lick Carlos's face, something unexpected happened. The medical monitors began to emit different sounds, indicating changes in Carlos's vital signs. The familiar smell and loving touch of Bella seemed to be provoking a reaction. Slowly, Carlos's fingers moved, and his eyes began to blink slightly. The family, initially incredulous, quickly called the doctors. Recovery from a coma is rare, and the medical team was surprised and cautiously optimistic. Bella remained by Carlos's side, her constant presence seeming to provide the energy needed for him to keep fighting. After moments of tension and anticipation, Carlos finally opened his eyes. The sight of his beloved Bella by his side brought tears to his eyes. He murmured her name, and Bella responded with more licks and affection. The family burst into tears of joy and relief, embracing and thanking for the unexpected miracle. Carlos's recovery was slow but steady. With Bella's unwavering support, he faced each challenge with renewed determination. The doctors, impressed by Carlos's willpower and Bella's positive influence, continued to provide the best possible care. Each day brought new improvements, and hope grew with each small progress. The connection between them was palpable, a living demonstration of the powerful bond between humans and animals. Carlos, now more determined than ever, knew that his mission was not complete. He was ready to return to work at the mobile clinic, continuing to save lives and spread hope. With Bella by his side, he felt there was nothing he couldn't achieve. Carlos returned home after several weeks in the hospital, still weak but full of determination. Bella never left his side, always staying close to him, as if she knew her presence was essential for Carlos's recovery. The days passed slowly, but every small victory, a few more steps, a firmer arm movement, was celebrated with joy. Carlos felt blessed to have Bella and his family by his side, and he promised himself he would use this second chance to do even more for animals and the community. With the support of friends and volunteers, the mobile clinic Wheels of Hope continued to operate, now with more strength and visibility. The story of Carlos and Bella had spread, inspiring many to volunteer and help the cause. The clinic's work expanded, reaching more underserved areas and providing essential veterinary services to hundreds of animals. Carlos, even in recovery, made sure to be present as much as possible. "Every life we save, every animal we help, is a victory," he often told the volunteers, motivating them to keep going. Bella, always by his side, seemed to share this mission, comforting the animals and bringing smiles to people's faces.